Hi, everybody. It's Professor Mitchell. We are wrapping up Chapter 6 today on ratio, proportion, and percent by looking at percent and problem-solving interest. The objectives in this section are to calculate simple interest and compound interest. So interest is the money charged for using other people's money. When you borrow money, you pay interest. When you loan or invest money, you earn interest. The money borrowed, loaned, or invested is called the principal amount or simply principal. Interest is normally stated in terms of a percent of the principal for a given period of time. The interest rate is the percent used in computing the interest. When interest is computed on the original principal, it is called simple interest. So here's the formula for calculating simple interest. Simple interest is the principal times the rate times time. So I equals P times R times T, where the rate is understood to be per year and time is in years. So as an example, find the simple interest after 2 years on $500 at an interest rate of 12%. So using the formula I equals PRT, the principal is 500, the rate is 12%, and T is 2 years. So convert this 12% into a decimal, 12 hundredths, and then 500 times 12 hundredths times 2 comes out to be $120. So the simple interest is $120. A student borrowed $1,500 for 9 months on her credit card at a simple interest rate of 20%. How much interest did she pay? So in this case, the time is given in months, so we have to convert that to years. Since there are 12 months in a year, we first find what part of a year 9 months is. And of course, that's just 9/12, which simplifies to 3/4. So now using our formula, I equals PRT, the principal is 1,500, the rate is 20 hundredths, and T is 3/4, as in 3/4 of a year. And that comes out to $225. So she paid $225 in interest. To find the total amount of a loan or investment, just add the interest to the principal. A company borrows $62,500 for 2 years at a simple interest of 12 5/10%. I feel like that's a pretty cheap here. Find the total amount paid on the loan. So first we'll find the interest. I equals PRT. The principal is $62,500. The rate is 12 5/10%. T equals 2. Change 12 5/10% into a decimal. And when you crunch those numbers, that comes out to $15,625. Now that's the interest. They asked for the total amount paid. So we'll add that amount to the principal and we get $78,125. All right, that brings us to compound interest. The difference between compound interest and simple interest is that simple interest is based only on the principal. Compound interest, which is what you really see more in real life on your savings account and on your credit cards, is that any interest that has already been added to the loan, you get charged or you earn interest on that interest. All right, so compound interest is computed not only on the principal, but also on the interest already earned in previous compounding periods. So different loans or accounts, savings accounts, investments, compound their interest at different frequencies. So one example would be annually. The interest is compounded once per year. There's also such a thing as compounded monthly. That's probably the most common kind for credit cards, savings accounts. In the case of annually compounded interest, interest is added to the principal at the end of each year, and next year's interest is computed on this new amount. So here's the formula for compound interest. You see it's a bit more complicated than the simple interest formula. That formula is A equals P times 1 plus R over N, and that expression is raised to the power N times T. So P is the principal, R is the interest rate written as a decimal, T is the length of time in years, and N is the number of times compounded per year. So if the interest was compounded annually, N would be 1. If it was compounded monthly, N would be 12, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so as an example, if $1,800 is invested at 2% interest compounded annually, find the total amount after 3 years. So notice it says compounded, so we're going to use this formula. P, the principal, is $1,800. The interest rate R is 2%, which as a decimal is 2/100. T is 3, and N is 1, because compounded annually means 1 time per year. So we plug in those numbers, and we get this. A is 1,800 times 1.02 to the power 3. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use over to my calculator. I just downloaded a free calculator app onto my tablet. I'm waiting for an app that looks like a real TI calculator, like a TI 30 or TI 34. But in the meantime, this is what I have. Sometimes students have trouble putting this expression into the calculator. So you will want to practice this on your calculator. I am doing this for the first time. I literally just downloaded this app about 10 minutes ago. So it's going to be something like 18. That's what you get with free apps. Oh dear. Okay. 1,800. And now I'm going to put a parenthesis, 1.02. And now to get my exponent, I'm going to hit this button right here, and I'm going to put a 3. And when I hit equals, it gives me 1,910.1744. So it looks like, so remember, in any money problem, you always round to 2 decimal places. So hopefully they came up with the answer 1,910 and 17 cents. Let's see. Yes, that's what they got. All right, next example. This is one that you might want to try before watching. $5,500 is invested at 6.25% interest compounded daily. Find the total amount after 5 years, and remember that a year has 365 days. So the principal is 5,500. R is 6.25%, so we'll change that into a decimal. T is 5, and because the interest is compounded daily, N is 365. So the interest is compounded 365 times per year. So when we put those numbers into the formula, I think I'm going to try putting it in just like that. My only worry is that when I switch over to the calculator, I can't see this on my screen. So let's see. All right. Try putting it in just like that. So switching back over to the calculator, I'm probably going to get another ad. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this problem is still up here. Let's see what happens when I go to type. Ah, good. Okay. 5,500 and now parenthesis. And I'm just literally going to put in what you just saw on the screen. So 1 plus, where's plus? There it is. 0.0625 divided by 365. And that's going to be to the power 365 times 5. All right, let's see what it thinks about that. So in no time flat, it comes up with, to the nearest cent, this would be $7,517.41. Let's see if that's what they got. Yes, that's what they got. The total amount at the end of 5 years is $7,517.41. That takes care of section 6.7, and that takes care of chapter 6. See you next time.